Coming up now on Animal Outtakes, I'm guilty of it and I guarantee you are too. How what you use every day is having a negative impact on our oceans. Without these animals, it would wreak havoc on our marine ecosystems. Dr. Tracy is going in to investigate. And dogs love to chew. But how can you make sure your dog is chewing on a bone instead of your couch? Trainer Paul is giving us some pointers. This and much more straight ahead on Animal Outtakes. Plastic silverware, water bottles, and straws. Single-use plastics are used every day. And while they may be convenient and easy, they are not making it painless on the environment. And behind us we have these magnificent sharks.
Yes.
They suffer too, don't they?
They very much do. You know, sharks already get a really bad rap. If somebody asked me one time, like, Eric, why do you love sharks? I said, everybody already loves dolphins. You know, dolphins, sharks, turtles, seabirds are all impacted by plastics in our oceans. All we have to see is when these animals strand themselves. Some of the turtles that we have rescued here at the Florida Aquarium have been seriously impacted by plastic. We have a turtle that had an ensnarement around his neck.
In my generation,
yes,
there was a great movie called The Graduate.
Oh,
you may have seen it on Netflix.
I saw it. I did see it, yeah.
And they professed plastics is the future. Well,
wow.
We believed them.
We did believe them, and guess what? Plastics, they really do seem to be our future, but maybe not in the way that The Graduate predicted. Not always in the best way. Plastics have definitely brought some wonderful changes to our lives. You know, they can be part of medical devices. They can make life easier, but maybe sometimes a little too easy, especially when it comes to single-use plastics that are so easy to just use and toss away.
Straws, garbage bags, and the such. They're horrible.
Grocery bags that you see stuck in the trees. You see them if you do a beach cleanup, which I encourage everybody to do a beach cleanup. It will change your ways of thinking. It'll change your life. But straws seem to be in the top 10 every time a beach cleanup or plastic pollution is counted. And also with plastic straws, they're so little, even if you try to toss them in the recycler, they tend to fall through the cracks and end up in our oceans.
This is really a very serious problem, isn't it?
It is. And the Florida Aquarium, we're really proud to be a part of the Skip the Straw campaign. We're not the only ones out there that are saying, please say no thank you to straws. Find a better alternative, maybe a reusable, or request a paper straw or an aluminum one or a silicone one. But also, we have great partners out there like the Girl Scouts, the Tampa Bay Lightning, Sparkman Wharf right over here, and I even noticed at the airport when I was flying the other day, they're skipping the straw.
You know, I believe years ago the reason straws became so predominant were dishes and glasses were hand washed.
Yes.
So the sanitary effect was really not there. Well, now
Sure.
Nothing's hand washed.
That's
it's all
true.
done in hot, heated dishwashers,
You bet it's clean.
which will clean.
Even the personal ones come with a little straw cleaning kit. It's just a little bottle brush that you can stick them right in your dishwasher and have a good clean straw anytime you need it. And don't forget to bring it with you. It's a real handy tip.
So now we've polluted our waters.
We do find plastics in our waters. We produce about 470 global tons of plastic, and a good portion of that ends up in our oceans. On just a personal basis, in the United States, about 9 million tons of plastic ends up in the oceans, and it's not always a big floating Coca-Cola bottle. Okay, that was, I guess, a product plug. It's not always just a big floating bottle, a soda bottle. It can be little straws, it can be little bits of plastic, and in fact, each of us in the US is responsible for about 270 pounds. That's a big me of plastic waste every year. We can really do better than that because that plastic tends to get out and broken down by the sun, and then it turns into tiny little particles. So it's not so much the process of, I'm gonna swallow a whole bottle, but that plastic could end up in your beer, it's just unforgivable, in your food, or even being eaten in tiny particles by these living corals out in the oceans. And the very fish that we might have for our own dinner could have plastics in them that end up in our bodies, and that's not healthy.
In our generation, Eric, we've done much in the pollution area.
true.
If we stop today, everyone globally stop today, how long would it take us to clean this horrible mess up?
Well, you know, I think the first step is to start understanding that we do have an impact on our oceans, even if you don't live on the coast. That plastic pollution that you might drop, that plastic bag that might blow away out of your shopping cart up in Minneapolis, especially on a day like this, it could be blowing anywhere. Come spring, come the thaw, that's going to end up in the waterways. And those waterways lead to the ocean. And all that plastic waste will eventually end up in our seas. So we really need to dial back our use of those plastics. And then it's going to take generations. We're going to have to learn ways to even clean up the plastic that is out there. And I do know scientists are working on ways of everything from bacteria that can digest plastics to mechanical means of harvesting that plastic from the oceans. We've definitely done some damage, but it isn't to say that we should give up on our blue planet. We can do better, and I challenge everyone to start by skipping the straw, and it starts there.
Plastics can take thousands of years to biodegrade. So think about changes you can make now by eliminating single-use plastics to your daily routines. Coming up next.
All right. We're doing this.
Dr. Tracy is going in to investigate.
Let's go.
Over 90% of the seafood that is coming in to this country is raised in areas of the world that don't have the highest standards. And so our approaches are aimed for two things. One is to help feed the world. The second is to do it in an environmentally friendly and sustainable way.
Every dog deserves a lifelong loving home. Dantes Den provides a pristine, comfortable haven for dogs that have been abandoned or surrendered by their owners. We ensure that every pup in our Joyful Dogs adoption program receives lots of love and attention, is properly immunized, spayed or neutered, and is in good health. Prospective pet parents undergo a thorough adoption review to ensure a lifetime of love and care. Find your new furry best friend at Dantes Den. For more information, go to dantesden.org or call 844-DANTES-DEN. Dantes Den, continuing the love.
Science is everywhere, and it's all around us. It's observing the world, forming questions, and the willingness to find the answers. It's something our Inspector Planet does every day, and you can too.
Hi, my name is Dr. Tracy Finara. I'm an environmental engineer, which means that I use different scientific disciplines to protect the environment, humans, and wildlife. At Mote Marine Laboratory, I use investigation and myth-busting to answer questions. Some species are responsible for protecting the health of our marine ecosystems. The question is, what species are they, and what can we do to protect them? Keystone species are critical in maintaining ecosystem structure, controlling populations, and balancing ecosystems. Right, Laura?
Absolutely. We actually have some keystone species in this habitat. Are you ready to get in and meet them?
Seriously, I get to get in the water?
Absolutely.
I heard about a new exhibit at the Florida Aquarium in Tampa, Florida, called The Heart of the Sea. Inside this 100,000-gallon habitat, you will notice lots of animals, and a few definitely represent the heart of the sea, because if they were removed, our marine ecosystems would be devastated.
All right. We're doing this.
What better way to learn more about these keystone species
Let's go.
than to get wet? And after a few helpful pointers from my dive master, Matt, I took the plunge. The first animal I noticed was definitely the sharks. And you may have guessed it, sharks are definitely a keystone species.
So we have bonnethead sharks in this habitat. They're one of the smaller species of hammerhead sharks, and they represent the sharks as a keystone species because sharks are basically the managers of the reef. They're swimming around, taking out the sick or injured animals to clean up the reef habitat, the ecosystem, and keep it healthy and thriving.
The next animal does a lot of good because of what they eat. Sea turtles have been around since the dinosaurs, and they love to snack on seagrasses. If we didn't have them around, we would likely see some fish and shellfish populations decrease. And with no turtles, we would have more of these stinging animals too.
In this habitat, we have two species of turtles. We have a Kemp's Redleaf sea turtle and a loggerhead sea turtle. Sea turtles are keystone species because they act as barometers of ocean health. A lot of sea turtle species eat jellyfish, so they're eating the sea jellies and keeping them in check, and without the sea turtles, the jellies bloom and they actually take over our oceans and become a problem. Sea turtles also are a barometer for plastic pollution. Our loggerhead sea turtle was actually a victim of plastic entanglement. He was entangled in fishing line, which is why he now calls the Florida Aquarium home, because he's no longer able to be out in the ocean on his own.
Our next animal does a lot more than just protect our shorelines.
In this habitat, we actually have a species of coral, a representation of coral. It's the staghorn coral that we grow out in the Florida Keys to restock our reefs. The reason that coral is a keystone species is because they're basically the reef builders. Without coral, we wouldn't have coral reefs. And coral reefs are actually a big source of oxygenation in the ocean, which is the source of oxygen for all of the other species in the ocean to breathe and survive.
To be considered a keystone species, an animal doesn't have to be the biggest or most abundant. Just like sharks, sea turtles, and corals, a keystone species must greatly impact the food webs.
Matt, that was awesome!
I get to do this every day.
Now we see that sharks, corals, and sea turtles are all keystone species, and their biggest threats are us. So we all play a role in protecting them. Remember guys, anyone could be a scientist or an engineer with some passion, hard work, and an innate curiosity of how the world works.
Good job.
Yeah!
If you want to see these keystone species up close, you can sign up to swim in the Heart of the Sea exhibit. You just need to be at least 6 years old. A couch, a chair lake, and my dog has even chewed through marble. Trainer Paul is up next with some tips and tricks and ways to hopefully stop your pet from eating all your belongings.
People have asked me what it'll cost to restore all the corals back the way they remember. But I have to ask them, what will it cost if we don't do anything?
The crested caracara is listed in Florida as threatened. Their numbers have declined due to many factors, including illegal hunting. Help support efforts to eliminate the threat of illegal hunting, not just for birds of prey such as the caracara, but for all wildlife. Always alert authorities if you see people hunting illegally, or if you see wildlife parts such as feathers being sold illegally.
Many active duty servicemen and women face a dilemma as they prepare for deployment. Who will look after their canine companion until they return? Dantes Den provides temporary boarding for their dogs as they serve. We honor the trust placed in us by members of the armed forces by giving their furry friends loving care, spacious dens, on-site veterinary care, and plenty of room to run and play. For more information, go to dantesden.org or call 844-DANTES-DEN.
Zeus has never been a big chewer. Lucky for us, but he does love his tennis balls. But if you have a dog who likes to gnaw on things they shouldn't, Trainer Paul is here to help.
I have a question. It's a common question. When you get a puppy, they chew. Oh, they chew wood, they chew shoes, they chew chairs, they do all of that. But then they get to be about a year old or a year and a half and you say, okay, I'm done with this chewing, right? And no, they just turn around and they keep chewing. Why do they do this, Paul?
And they do it because when you said puppy, you allowed it to continue as a puppy, but as an adult dog, the chewing and you telling them no, but you're giving them a reward at the same time, or you're giving them another toy to play with, they're doing it to get attention. The attention of you yelling at them, or the attention of you shooing them away, whatever it is, but they're doing it because that's what's drawing you to them. It's a behavior it's a pattern. They're doing it over and over again because they're getting a response from you.
They sure are.
So, I mean, introduce them a Kong ball or one of those, a nylabone or something that lasts for a while that they can chew on and get, you know, whatever their anxiety is to get out, instead of chewing on your table chair or your expensive hutch or whatever it is they're chewing on. But it's a behavior that they're looking for out of you to respond to them.
Now, I have toys, of course, all around at the house. And I'm speaking of Remy, our rescue German Shepherd puppy. He'll play with the binkies. We call them binkies. He plays with the binkies, he puts it down, he goes to a chair and chews a chair. Yeah. Well, what's his problem?
Problem is he wants a reaction out of mom.
Well, he gets it.
Yeah, he gets it. That's the reaction that he knows. He's getting attention from mom. If I go over here, I know I'm going to get attention from mom. So just give him something else and work him off of that. I mean, it's not going to be an overnight thing. Dogs that chew on things, it's not an overnight fix. There's a process to it where you got to reward and punishment, not punishment as far as, you know, physically punishing, but verbally and telling them no, showing them, you know, no, correcting them with a lead, and then give them a ball or the nylabone or a Kong or something that they can refocus on. But that's not an easy overnight fix. That's something that it's a reoccurring training thing that you have to keep going over and over and over again.
So there's hope.
There is hope. Absolutely, there's hope. There's hope for chewing dogs that chew on your hutch and your end table. And your
and the marble stairs. He got two of my chairs. I'm recovering the chairs.
Stay with us. More Animal Outtakes is coming up next.
Every dog deserves a lifelong loving home. Dantes Den provides a pristine, comfortable haven for dogs that have been abandoned or surrendered by their owners. We ensure that every pup in our Joyful Dogs adoption program receives lots of love and attention, is properly immunized, spayed or neutered, and is in good health. Prospective pet parents undergo a thorough adoption review to ensure a lifetime of love and care. Find your new furry best friend at Dantes Den. For more information, go to dantesden.org or call 844-DANTES-DEN. Dantes Den, continuing the love. Animal Outtakes is produced by Dantes Den Foundation, a nonprofit group dedicated to creating the best life for dogs. If you would like to learn more about Dantes Den, donate, or volunteer, visit our website, dantesden.org.
Dr. Greiner, you know that I'm a lover of these dogs and many times get puppies to bring up. But the question always is, number one, do we neuter and or spay? And at what age do we do this?
It's actually kind of controversial because in most countries of the world, they do not routinely spay-neuter their pets. And there's been some suggestion now that spaying and neutering too early may lead to cancers later on in life. My partners and I have disagreed on this topic for years. They've thought I was nuts, but I always wanted my female dogs to go through one heat period prior to spaying them. I felt that they matured better. It definitely decreases their risk of urinary problems later on in life, particularly urinary incontinence, which is a weakening of the bladder sphincter and they leak urine. The downside to that is that you have to have absolute assurance that they are not going to get out and get pregnant when they're going through their heat period. You have to go through the heat period itself. And then dogs, regardless of whether they are bred or not, produce pregnancy hormone afterwards. And so some dogs will actually go through a false pregnancy, which they get milk of the breasts and try mothering toys and building a nest. And they last for a few weeks and they're kind of miserable because they don't have puppies. And,
sure.
But I've always felt that going through that way outweighs the benefits of spaying them before the first heat period. The boys, on the other hand, there's been a lot of discussion about this really early neutering, some as early as 6 to 8 weeks of age. I disagree with that based on the fact that A, they're at higher risk of anesthetic problems at that age, but B, again, I would like them to mature. I think if they reach physical maturity that they don't tend to gain the weight so much like they do with the early neutering. And I think that they have fewer phobias, they develop more self-confidence, and I think their behavior is better.
So we have Joey, who's considered a small dog, and we have our shepherds who are considered the large dogs. What would you recommend?
Well, the toy breeds, the little bitty guys, are maturing probably at about 6 months of age. The medium more sized guys like Joey are probably about 9 months, and the older guy, the bigger guy, is about 1 year of age.
So any time after those bewitching months would be...
Or if they decide that they're a little precocious and they're going to start leg lifting in your house, and
yes. So
you lose your privileges.
Yes, yes, yes. Now let's fast forward to an older dog. Is it possible that they can get dementia?
We don't know because we don't have the psychological testing, but I am absolutely sure that they get the same degenerative brain diseases that we get. Probably not Alzheimer's per se, but I know with my own experience, my first dog lived to be 18 years old, and we just called her Grandma because she was kind of a little in her dotage.
And lastly, of course, how do we select the right food?
That's a big controversy. You see everything from raw meat diets right up to very heavily processed foods. And after 30 years in practice, I'm very convinced that there is no one diet that is right for every dog, or even not even one brand of food that's right for every dog. And I think that every patient that I see, I look at individually. We always question what food they are on and quantity that they're on. And if I like the way they look, I like their weight, their teeth look good, they're happy, bowel movements are okay, then God bless. I've had a couple of dogs that can live on very low quality diets and look great. And I've had others, particularly performance dogs, that need a really high energy, high protein diet.
Kind of like us.
Yeah, and but you know, if you're a couch potato, you shouldn't be eating a really high energy, high protein diet because you're going to get fat.
Did you hear that, Joey?
You say I'm not a potato, I'm shaped like one.
We hope you had fun and learned a thing or two along the way. Zeus and I will be back here again next week with even more animals and some wild adventures. Until then, thanks for watching. Without these animals, it would wreak havoc on... Could be reek, it could be wreck. What does she got? How's it spelled? Well, then reek it is. Without these animals, it would wreak havoc on our marine... It would wreak havoc on our marine ecosystems. Without these animals, it would wreak havoc. Wreak havoc. Wreak havoc. Got it.
I just have eyelash extensions. So